It is meat, so it is chicken. It'll taste exactly as you would expect a chicken to taste. So the part that's remarkable about it is we didn't have to raise and slaughter a chicken to get real chicken meat out of it. And the part that's unremarkable is that it tastes like chicken. It's what we've been used to eating for thousands of years. Cultivated meat is meat. Like I said, it's not a meat alternative. It's meat that's grown from real animal cells. So what we do is we take really high quality animal cells from, let's say, a cow or a pig or a chicken or a lobster, and we look for cells that can continue to grow outside the animal in a very robust and a healthy way. This is the earliest cells with the smallest possible vials. So as you can see, Michelle, she's removing some of the cell banks that we have with breeds of cells from the liquid nitrogen tank. We can store them in there for years or decades and not lose those cells. And we take them out from a little vial. There's multiple vials in that little box. They'll take those cells out, they'll thaw them out, and they'll grow them out in a very clean fashion. So the challenge right now in getting it into retail or supermarkets is production capacity. So we're going to start off with small production capacity, and we're going to start with the restaurants initially. But as we scale in the next 3 to 5 years, we want to be able to be in restaurants as well as retails, whether it's a Safeway or a Wegmans or a Tops. And that's really where I think most people will be able to access it as we scale. We think the initial pricing will be premium to organic, and with time, over the next 5 to 10 years, it'll come to conventional parity. And we also expect the price of conventional meat to continue to grow up significantly. It keeps going up. Cultivated meat price comes down, and there's a sweet spot in the next 5 to 10 years where we intersect and we become more affordable than conventional meat. And that's what we're going after.
I think a decade now, have been actually making fake lettuce, fake eggs.
What I thought was even more weird, apparently they glue meat together. You don't, when you buy a steak, you think it's a solid steak, but some of the cheap steaks are actually just a bunch of different end pieces, and they have this weird glue, and they glue ends together, and they apparently do it with chicken too. I think that's why it says on a lot of chicken packages, cheap chicken, this is 15% rib meat.
See that? Don't breathe that in.
Otherwise known as meat glue.
Stay over the top like that. We mix it up.
Then roll it and refrigerate. Ours uncooked, but cooked is another story. And it's not just beef. Pork, lamb, fish and chicken.
Looks like one piece of chicken. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Yep. But hard to tell, isn't it?
On the grill, it's even harder to pick.
So that's the real McCoy, nice and tender. Let's go for the meat glue. I can't tell the difference.
And chances are you're eating it on a regular basis.
Eggs are easily accessible and inexpensive, with egg prices in the United States at their lowest in a decade. However, according to reports from India, the country has recently experienced an inflow of fake eggs, most likely from China. And the less tasty and potentially unhealthy fakes seem so real that some people have given up eggs totally. Even the separate fake whites and yolks can be convincing once cracked because the colors and forms are similar with just minor changes. The eggs have apparently been appearing in stores and supermarkets, with some customers purchasing the fakes by mistake and then complaining about the slight changes, such as hard to crack shells and rubbery content. Eggs are easily accessible and inexpensive, with egg prices in the United States at their lowest in a decade. However, according to Uncooked, fake eggs have been created in China since the mid-1990s, and they could be produced at half the cost of real eggs. Aside from the unappealing ingredients such as resin, starch, coagulant pigments, and sodium alginate extracted from brown algae for the white, a different mix of resin and pigments for the yolk, and a paraffin wax, gypsum powder, and calcium carbonate for the shell, it's thought that artificial egg ingredients may cause liver, brain, and nerve damage when cooked. Fake eggs have been created in China since the mid-1990s, and
she goes out and she eats worms and bugs and fly maggots and kitchen scraps, and she gives us one of the most complete nutritive. I mean, you can just about live on eggs. And I think that that's just a wonderful example of the democratized access that we're supposed to have to food. You know, all this fake meat and Beyond Burger and unpronounceable food and monosodium glutamate and all the stuff that's in food that you can't make in your kitchen, that you need a chemistry lab to make, or a $1 billion stainless steel factory to make. That is, at its philosophical level, an extremely elitist, non-accessible food system. But if you've got bugs and a chicken, you can have eggs, right? She goes out and she eats worms and bugs and fly maggots and kitchen scraps, and she gives us one of the most...
Firefighters continue to assess damage after large fire at Basra Egg Farm. 100,000 chickens die in Basra Egg Farm fire. Massive fire destroys commercial egg farm of top U.S. supplier amid widespread egg shortage. So you're seeing that footage on the screen. My goodness. Just add this to the list of food processing plants and other such similar structures and infrastructure that have been attacked in the last 2 years. Ever since Biden got into office, that started happening, oddly enough. All right, I was already planning on covering this story, and there have been multiple developments just since, I guess, really Friday, when I couldn't get to it. And there's been multiple developments now. So let me just try to read some of these headlines. Chicken farmers blame tainted feed after hens stop producing eggs. And I got a video of, there's multiple videos out there, but I've got one video I'll play here. Now, let me just tell you, I talk to farmers, I talk to homesteaders, I talk to people that have chickens, and what the conclusion they've reached is the big chicken feed manufacturers changed some of their ingredients, and it's caused the hens to stop laying eggs. Whereas the farmers that are still feeding organic or even just table scraps, even the farmers just feeding table scraps, they're not having problems. Their hens are still laying eggs, no problem. But now an even bigger story, really, potentially. It's all tied in, though. Firefighting continues. Firefighters continue to assess damage after large fire at Basra Egg Farm. 100,000 chickens die in Basra Egg Farm fire. Massive fire destroys commercial egg farm of top U.S. supplier amid widespread egg shortage. So you're seeing that footage on the screen. My goodness. Just add this to the list of food processing plants and other such similar structures and infrastructure that have been attacked in the last 2 years. Ever since Biden got into office, that started happening, oddly enough. Of course, Bill Gates has invested, over 10 years ago, he invested in what he called eggless chickens. or chickenless eggs, rather, actually. I'm sorry, I reversed that. Chickenless eggs. Okay, so that story continues. But here is one individual talking about the egg shortage in clip 14.
Really conspiracy. It's being confirmed not only here in our house, but apparently all over the nation. And nobody said anything about it because we all just assumed it was winter. They stopped laying in the winter as much. And come to find out that everybody across the nation stopped getting eggs from their chickens altogether. Nobody got a single egg all winter from there. Everybody's reporting end of September to like mid-October, the chickens stopped laying, and ours stopped laying in September. We hadn't had a single egg all winter. Well, we discovered, we have a little escape artist here, Luna, our white leghorn there. She can get out of the coop and just, we can't contain her. Anyway, she started laying again about a month ago, and we discovered that well, that's weird. She started to lay, and nobody's laid in months. Like, we have gone months. You go, Margo. We've gone months without any eggs at all. So we started looking into it, and then finally somebody said something in one of the chicken groups, and they were like, hey, has anybody else's chickens not laid a single egg? Because we've had them for 50 years, and we've never gone a winter without a single egg. Not one single egg. Well, we started letting our chickens out and to free range. We usually feed them. You can see they're not even touching the feed anymore. Like, this has been here for 3 days. They don't want it. And apparently everybody who's been feeding their chickens this type of feed has stopped getting eggs altogether. So people who aren't able to let their chickens free range or can't run around in the yard at all aren't getting any eggs. Kind of convenient when eggs are the price of, I don't even know, gold at this point, I guess. But yeah, so let's check over here and see if we have any today where they've been out. We had to keep them up yesterday.
Okay, so
yeah.
all kinds of
Looky
similar
here.
videos, and we've posted some of those at Infowars.com with the headline that I have in front of me here. Chicken farmers blame tainted feed after hens stop producing eggs. And like I said, I just talked to some local farmers here. I got friends at Homestead that have chickens, you know, at the farmer's market, everything. And they basically said the same thing. The people that are having problems still getting eggs are the ones giving them just the most basic feed, you know, the mainline feed, instead of either organic stuff that's harder to find, or even table scraps is working, or just letting them free range. And so, you know, it'd be amazing. Imagine all of this stuff going on around you and not even having the basic instincts to look around and say, huh, something's going on here. Something going on. Things around here just don't add up.
Move over, wild and farmed salmon. A genetically engineered cousin is a step closer to the market. Long touted as safe by AquaBounty, the company that has been swimming upstream seeking regulatory approval for about 20 years.
The risk is as minimum as you could ever expect to get with any product.
Now, the Food and Drug Administration in the U.S. agrees, ruling there is no meaningful differences between the engineered salmon and its conventional counterpart. From a landlocked lab on PEI, the eggs injected with a gene from an eel called an ocean pout and one from a Chinook salmon are flown to tanks in Panama to be grown to market size. Now, with this ruling, they are cleared for sale in the United States without any labeling required. These genetically modified fish can grow to market size twice as fast as farmed fish, costing a lot less to feed. But opponents say this ruling is based on poor science.
There was actually an increased risk of allergy, an increased allergenic potential, but that was based on a sample size of 6 fish, which is too small.
And our concern is the risk to wild Atlantic salmon, that these GM salmon can escape and can reproduce with wild Atlantic salmon, causing genetic contamination.
Even those in the salmon farming business in Canada are distancing themselves.
You've heard of plant-based protein powder, but what if the next alternative was made out of plastic? There's new research that could make it a reality.
All right, Stacey Delcat talked to a scientist about the process that could help fight hunger and pollution.
Food shortages are worsening around the world, and the plastic pollution crisis continues to intensify. What if there was one solution to both of these problems? A Michigan scientist thinks there could be.
What we're trying to do is to use microbes to take plastic and other inedible plant material and turn that into something that's nutritious.
The idea is to turn components of plastic into protein and other nutrients like fats and sugars.
You've heard of plant